Upon this day, Chainsaw Man goes further absurd, and and honestly, one of the craziest chapters I've read in a while that happened in such a short span, but it had to be multiple times read through out of a combination of confusion and utter like fascination. Like, everything about this chapter blew me away. I love this. I've mentioned before, Chainsaw Man. Like right now, when it comes to series, I think Chainsaw Man is definitely my top three. Like obviously, Fairy Tail, Black Clover, probably Chainsaw Man are my top three, and then you probably roll into like Jujutsu Kaisen and Eden Zero. But well, I probably like Eden Zero honestly more than Jujutsu Kaisen, at least at the moment. Either way, back and forth in those ones. But Chainsaw Man definitely top three. I love Chainsaw Man. It's crazy. It's the designs are fantastic, and everything about the series just keeps you guessing. So obviously, in the end of the last chapter, we had Makima like offer to form a contract with Aki, and so there's been a lot of speculation on what Makima's power is. Like it looks like I thought she was gonna be a hybrid, kind of like Denji. It doesn't look like that's gonna be the case. It looks like she's a full-on double. And one thing that was noted is like the stronger. I think it was either the stronger the devil, the smarter they are, or the smarter the devil is, the stronger they are. Kind of just like in reverse. Like their intelligence will equate to their something to their power level. I'm guessing the stronger they become, the more kind of intelligent they are. And obviously Makima, they're an intelligent kind of person. It would make sense of why she's both stayed hidden, but also just in general really powerful. She's able to do that in a combination of like, yeah, she would know what to do, but also they don't notice because she comes off very human. So I figured she would have to have some form of like power that's like a concept fear. It's not something physical. It's not like the fear of hurricanes or something. You know, we had the was it Hurricane or Typhoon Devil? I'm already forgetting that one. You know, Bomb Devil, Gun Devil, something like that. The Gun Devil obviously is a different kind of one, so it's more modern. But I thought it was going to be something kind of like, I saw some people saying like God Devil. I thought that would be kind of too much. That would be kind of too broken. I thought it'd be something kind of like, maybe like a Love Devil, and maybe that would explain why Denji's so infatuated with her. Same thing with Aki and stuff, but it's actually the Control Devil. So she is the physical manifestation of the human fear of being controlled, of losing your will, of losing autonomy. You just become essentially a puppet, which is very intriguing when you think about it as well, because you had Santa Claus contracted the puppet devil, and then you have somebody that's really not as much as like fear of being a puppet, but literally the fear of being controlled, losing your own free will and stuff. I thought that was really, really fascinating, really intriguing, and it makes sense why she would be able to contend with the darkness devil. You have the human fear of the dark, something that's existed since the dawn of humans. And then you have the Control Devil, who, when you think about it, it's something that has grown over time. Just like the feeling that people, every day are wondering. Like for instance, the instance of like what's influencing you that you don't know about, like TV, like stuff on TV, like subliminal messages, or are you actually making your own decisions, or are you just being influenced by something? Anything like that, in this idea like I said, of control, which makes sense again when you think about it. Obviously, like that's one of the things she knows how to do with Denji, because I figured it would be something with Denji, because it would be it would make sense of why Denji has such a thing for her. I guess I was like thinking maybe like kind of like, oh, you're taking something that is very used usually in a good light, something like the concept of love, but turning it into a darker thing, which would have been really intriguing of how to do it. But I think that I think the control makes more sense, because when I was talking to a friend about it, and they're talking about like if it's like the thing with love, it would make sense with Denji. And obviously when Aki was talking about it in the previous chapter, and the Angel Devil's like, oh, when you fall for her, like why? And he didn't really know. And I was like, okay, maybe that's a backup reasoning of like if it's kind of like a love-based power. But it makes more sense of when we think about with power, because she can control power, but she didn't control power through like a positive like affection and like a more, like I said, a more positive mental kind of setup like Denji. She controls power with fear. So it's just different ways of control. Whichever way that Makima can figure out, like, this is what I just need to do in order to get this person, under my thumb, how I can utilize them. So I imagine that she would possibly would have like some form of ability that like would let her maybe like see what exactly like drives you. You know, maybe that's what something that had to do with Aki, because like we find out in this chapter that Gun Devil, because it was previously that the Gun Devil, like they said, okay, we know we're hunting the Gun Devil, we know its locations, but then it's like, oh, it's actually been defeated and captured, and you know there's parts to the Gun Devil, and we got to get them all. It's controlled by different nations, which could still be the case. Very questioning on that, but after that point, the question is like, well, is she telling the truth, or is maybe like other countries working against her? You know, what exactly is the secret there? Because she's obviously been hiding stuff. I think anybody reading the series could tell, even long before this, that Makima is hiding something, that she's got more going on. And if she was using that like as a setup to kind of like work over Aki so she can get him back under her control, that would make sense, because Aki was starting to, because for a while like Aki would just do whatever he needed to in order to eventually help kill the Gun Devil, but he started to break away from that, and because he wanted to live his life, and he was happy with Power and Denji. So Makima just knew, like, okay, well, if you're not going, then that's fine, but these two are gonna go. And I think she knew that in his mind he would rather go and potentially die than not go with them in case something bad happened to them and stuff. There was definitely some mystery in there over what was going on. So very intrigued with that. And then you had like the Angel Devil kind of like shake out of her control, like use his power, pull out a sword. And he said 10 years. I'm surprised he didn't. I don't know how high his his weapon counting is, but I feel like he should have went higher than 10 for sure if he remembered her, because he's an Angel Devil, but like this control devil, like she's clearly way more powerful, way more manipulative, way more intelligent, way more like just all around set up. Like she's absolutely, in my opinion, right now when it comes to bad guys and villains, antagonists right now in shonen, I think she's the most intimidating. I think she's the most terrifying. Like there's a lot of great villains out there, but in terms of just the level of presence she has, I think she definitely stands on top. I know a lot of people would probably go for like Tamora or something for My Hero. Absolutely no. Tamora's like doing pretty well, but compared to Makima, absolutely not. Well, like the Angel Devil comes out, tries to attack her. She instantly just tells him down, and he just goes. He just completely collapses. So I'm wondering if once she gets control over somebody, she can just say stuff and they'll do it, and not like, oh yeah, hey, stop doing what you're doing. They'll just be like, oh yeah. But literally, if it's like somehow like a manipulation, literally of their whole body and not just their mind. Like if you said kind of like, like fall asleep, if their brain would just shut off or something. It wouldn't be like, okay, and you just lay down and go to bed. It would just be like out like a light. But after that point, like she's saying like, say you'll give me all of you, and then you can tell the Angel Devil just kind of it seems to just kind of like lose his self-control, and then just kind of seemingly goes into some like weird like state of just like being a brainwashed kind of zombie kind of setup. But then she's just like talking more about how like Japan is full of spies, and the operation to take out the Gun Devil has already been exposed. I think she knows that it's just been something she's been trying to do, but it looks like now she's like, well, I have to pretty much go through with my plan now, because some issues and complications are in the way. And then we get over like into America, and I've been wondering for a while of the exact year that Chainsaw Man takes place in, but it looks like the story takes place in 1997. And you have the president, and I think at the time the president was Bill Clinton. So this doesn't look like Bill Clinton. So maybe it's going to be a fictional character as the president. But you have this guy. He's like, the time has come for us to really kind of like go down a little bit of a crazy route. And, stuff needs us to be serious. It's like, if we don't kill Makima, the world's gonna head into the worst possible peaceful situation, kind of like. And I think what he means by that is Makima will pretty much, the idea I imagine of Makima in peace would be like if she controls everybody, she has complete domination over everyone. So it'd be like, yeah, there's no wars, and there's no crime, no like conflict, but everyone would just be kind of a puppet. No one would really have free will. It would just literally be Makima in a world of people that she just decides what they do to fit whatever she has in her mind. And maybe she's got her own scheme larger than that she needs all these people. Who knows? But Yeah, there's definitely a darker side to her plan. I don't think she's good. I think a lot of people have believed her that she's going to be a villain for a long time. But the president's just talking about how like it looks like all the other nations have given up. They're just kind of they don't think they can stop Makima, and especially when you think about Makima and like her power, when you know that with her that she has like vision over all of Japan, like back when the guys that worked for the Gun Devil went after Denji, they said that like pretty much as long as they're in Japan, they're within like Makima's range. So probably super hard also to fight her in general, because the second you step in Japan, that she could get alerted of you and kill you. So I mean, really, as long as she stays in Japan, she's I imagine good, or whatever her range is in total. Very dangerous, obviously, but he's like, fearing and strengthening Makima is nothing less than the history of humanity. Obviously, the fear of being controlled, and at the same time strengthening that, and everything, even resistance, may be but a step on a predictable course, and it's just something that she knows. Like, if you fear, if it, if you're either with control, you're either gonna give into it or you're gonna fight back against it. And fighting back against it, obviously, is just going to make people scared. It's going to frighten people, and obviously make her more powerful in the process. He's, it's like, oh, the land of the free. This all rests upon my shoulders. I can't surrender or give up. Well, if they're going to fight, if they're going to go down, they're going to go down fighting. And the president is like, sorry for my foolish decisions. He contract with the Gun Devil, and he gives 1 year off of the lifespan of everyone in America, which, to be perfectly honest, isn't that bad. I mean, it's still like you're losing a year, but really when you think about it, I mean, like every single person a year left, the only people I think would be very unfortunate if you had less than a year left in your life, like maybe you're an old or sick person, but it's an interesting kind of trade, because really most people aren't going to notice it. It's not like, we were going to sacrifice 10% of our population, 10 million, or 10 million, 10%. I don't know what the percent of the population was at the time in America. I can't even remember what it is right now. I think it's somewhere, I think in the upper 300 millions to somewhere in the 400 millions. I don't know what it is off my head. I'm not going to lie about that. But, tens of millions of people dead. And you'd be like, oh, shit. Like, that's a pretty big sacrifice for the world. But I think it's actually really intriguing that it's a big sacrifice in the grand scheme, because you're giving up, I think somebody said at the time of it was 270 million people in America or something like that. So 270 million years worth of time in order to spawn the Gun Devil. And then that's when they exchanged to kill Makima, the Control Devil, which, again, really cool. I love the concept. I think it's really, really cool. Badass, but it makes sense, obviously. I really like that about Chainsaw Man. It's super weird styles, and how well it's able to also kind of like build in and make it work for its series. And at the same time, it makes sense of like how that works within the Chainsaw Man world. I love that a lot. But then the Gun Devil shows up, and you have this part where it's like Makima seems to know about it. She's ready, and there's just a church, and it's saying how September 12th, 1997, it was 3:18 p.m. The Gun Devil hits the city of Nikaho in the Akita Prefecture, Japan, off the coast for 12 seconds. And I really loved this scene. Just at this point, when you see outside the church and you see these long gun belts just kind of like hovering over the water, and Chainsaw Man, I want to very much emphasize this, because Chainsaw Man, very interesting series, very fun. It's very obviously very action based. It's very gory. It stands out a lot when it comes to shonen, but also delves a lot into like a lot of psychological shit. There's a lot of deeper meaning to a lot of parts in Chainsaw Man that when you pay more attention to it that you notice, because I don't think Fujimoto's dumb. I don't think he's a meathead writer. I think that he knows what people like. He wants to have that crazy action, gory stuff, but he also I think he's a bit of a smarter and deeper writer when he really wants to lay stuff out. And it's not like other mangaka, don't have that capability. I think it's one of those things that when it comes to Chainsaw Man, it's really easy to skip over. And then because that's how you get people who don't think there's anything to Chainsaw Man other than just violence and gore. You have to pay attention to a lot of the parts in order to kind of get with the messages that's going on. But the thing about Chainsaw Man, I will give it that I think where it excels, I think more than any other manga right now, and especially definitely in shonen, I'd say, but I think right now in ongoing manga is the scene setup. And I think that's because Fujimoto is like such like he's a movie guy. He's like you can tell he's a if you've read Fire Punch, he's like a big movie like film dude. I think it's because of that that he's really good at setting a scene. Like look at back at, just for example, look back at actually two examples. Look at when they were brought into hell and just like the part where the this big hand like manifests out of nowhere and just drags them into this terrifying world, or when the darkness devil showed up. But I think when the gun devil was first introduced, how that scene went down, and then this scene obviously like it just shows it, and it's just like the following gun devil's recorded behavior, and its first part is shown is like these weird gun belts just being draped over the ocean, and it's huge. It's like immediately upon appearance, like ability activate, he's able to shoot a bullet through the head of every adult male within 1,000 meters. And then another ability is to fire a bullet through the head of every child, age 0 to 12, within 1,500 meters. So very weird, also like description. Like, is it like accuracy, or is it like if you enter within a zone, you automatically like a bullet goes in your direction? I don't know. I'm very curious to know what it is. And you just have all these names. You have all these names of people listed as death. So it's like you're reading it off of a report. And then you see the gun devil, and he looks so cool. He looks super badass, and I love the design. You have all these guns like melded into his body. You have this big spiked out rib cage with all these faces in it. He's got like this sick gun. I'm not a gun guy, but oh my god, the Desert Eagle or something. I don't know. Either way, badass looking gun. I don't think you can deny that. Somebody knows about guns is going to comment like, come on, Rex, it's this thing. But he's got all these different guns in him. My favorite part definitely of his design is like the draping bullets. I think that looks fantastic. It makes me think of kind of like a wraith or some form of revenant, but obviously instead of like cloth or something, it's just ammunition. I think that's just super cool. And then the close up of his face, and you have all these screaming faces, and it looks badass. One thing I will note, just finishing up the video, because I'm really hyped for this next chapter, and it like I said, the content of the chapter in reality, it was like Makima talking with the gun or with the angel devil, and then the stuff with the president, and then these last like pages, a lot of them are spread pages and just stuff setting up for the gun devil. And I think the time taken out of, even if the chapter felt short, the impact of the gun devil I think was fantastic. But one thing to note is his head shape. The way that the head at least looks a bit, and like the teeth and stuff, similar to Denji's. And we know the gun devil is intrigued. We don't know why. We know the gun devil has some form of interest in Denji, or not specifically Denji, but the chainsaw. And I'm wondering what exactly, like, what is the plot reason? What's the story background piece that it's going to be that the gun devil is in some way related to the chainsaw? I'm wondering if maybe maybe they manifested originally around. Well, you can't have them around the same time because obviously guns came out long before chainsaws. But maybe like they started to really rise into power around the same time or something. Because it seems like I feel like the chainsaw devil like in hell was some form of kind of like maybe like a peacekeeper or something, or I guess like a hell peacekeeper is literally just go around slaughtering devils and stuff. But some form of like balance kind of setup character or something. I'm thinking of like I don't know the exact description, but kind of like Pyramid Head in what is it, Silent Hill. But something like that, where it's literally just kind of like the warden for all these other monsters. I think that would be really cool. But I'm wondering if the gun devil and the chainsaw originally had some form of like maybe a friendship. And I think I've mentioned before of like maybe they wanted to overthrow the primal devils or something. There's definitely one thing to note is when we first see Pochita, it looks like the wounds on him, they look like bullet wounds. So I'm guessing that maybe they fought or something, and maybe that's why he's like that. Maybe they had some falling out. I feel like it's gotta have there's gotta be more of meaning than maybe he just wants to get revenge. I think it's gonna have something really intriguing, like further into like humanizing some of the devils, because we definitely got devils like obviously the angel devil. Like the angel devil comes off so much more like a person now, but obviously like Power in some ways she's very human in her personality. And I mean obviously after the darkness devil stuff, like her fear and her upset and her paranoia and stuff, and how weak she and helpless she was, and just how her fear kind of took her over, and how she needed Denji to help her. felt really human of just like seeing herself get consumed by this terror. But anyway, fantastic chapter, absolutely fantastic. There's always that time when a series has a big moment where people just go ape shit. I know, like, a recent one is when Shiki went into his Demon King form, like his overdrive, in Eden Zero, and it was one of those ones where, you know, when you follow accounts that you know are like fans of a series, so it's like, oh yeah, whenever a chapter comes out, you're gonna see stuff like that. But then it's like you see a chapter come out, and people who aren't even like people that don't even like read the series like see it and they get hyped for it. They're like, oh shit, maybe I should get into this, or it just gets all over design wise. People just want to talk about like something crazy going on. You know what I mean? It's something that's just in mass spreading all around, and that Chainsaw Man definitely this chapter has had that. People have been going crazy over just the entrance, like the whole scene of the Gun Devil arriving. And like I said, I think that's probably the biggest. I think personally Fujimoto's biggest positive when it comes to the series. Like, I love his designs, I love the story, I love the characters, but when he sets up a scene, I think that's his biggest skill in Chainsaw Man for sure, is how well he does at just laying out something for people to watch and be in awe of. It's just one of those parts, and like if you saw in a movie, they would like the music would stop and it'd go silent, and it would just be like some guy quietly reading, and it's not like I'm a badass narrator. It's like some old guy who's just reading some dark report of something that happened as they're like going, like they're having some briefing over this tragedy. I'm so hyped to see what happens next. I just noticed a small little skull like right under his chin too. I'm wondering if that's supposed to be his main face. I don't know. Like I said, I'm hyped. I can't wait for the next chapter. Chainsaw Man is so awesome. So anyway, other than that, comment below. Tell me your thoughts are about this chapter, and I really appreciate it. Like I said, comment below and tell me your thoughts are. I'm stuttering a little bit because I'm hyped. I can't wait to see Denji scale this dude, and you have like a kaiju battle, but like the little Denji against this giant gun-toting behemoth. Like, his bullets are going to be bigger than Denji when he shoots from any of those big guns. But yeah, but other than that, I'm really hoping he has a railgun. I love railguns. But yeah, other than that, I'll comment below. Thumbs up the video from the like button, subscribe button, and check out my other videos. But other than that, I appreciate everybody's already subscribed, and I thank you all for listening. Bye.